You know, I spent time last week in my district, too, talking to people. I spend time every weekend talking to the people in my district. And you know what they complain about the most? Unnecessary rules and regulations. I met today with folks from the home building industry. They can document that 25% of the rules related to home building are unnecessary and drive up the cost of doing business for homes. And we need new homes everywhere. My colleagues are they're trying to make it look like what we're doing is frivolous. Mr. Speaker, this is far from frivolous. We in the Congress are taking back our authority from unnamed, unaccountable bureaucrats who, in the dark of night, write unnecessary rules and regulations that burden the American people and drive up the cost of business and drive up the cost of products.
Look, just to be clear, I'm not trying to make their legislation on commercial freezers look frivolous. It is frivolous. The American people understand that. They get it. Now, I don't, maybe there are a lot of people in the chairwoman's district buying commercial freezers. Again, I can assure you, not the top priority of the people that I represent in northern Colorado and in western Colorado. Far from it. Now, I must say, I did hear with interest, Chairwoman referenced visiting with her constituents. And I would just simply say, my understanding was that the chairwoman doesn't do town halls. I think she recently said in an interview that she doesn't do town halls because they're an opportunity for constituents to yell at their congressperson. So I find it of great interest that I would just encourage the chairwoman and every member of the Republican caucus, do a town hall. Nothing to be afraid of. Great opportunity to visit with your constituents. And perhaps if you do that, you will come away with the same conclusion that I did, which is that the legislation we're considering today is a waste of time and grossly disproportionate to the priorities of the American people. As you know, Mr. Speaker, the Republican majority gavelled us out of session 11 days ago. Here we are, back in Washington, D.C., and of course, for us, it feels a lot like Groundhog Day, because notwithstanding all of the economic turmoil, the conflicts across the globe, the various ways in which this administration is making life harder for the people of Colorado, for folks across our country, notwithstanding all of the challenges that our country is grappling with, House Republicans have decided to spend this week debating what? 3 bills: walk-in freezers, commercial refrigerators, and giving new responsibilities to a department, the Department of Education, that they are seeking to dismantle, that they want to abolish. That's what we're debating here today, Mr. Speaker. It is important. I listened to every word of the chairwoman's address, outlining every component of the bills that we're considering. But for folks who are watching, for those who have graced us with their presence in the gallery, please understand, 3 bills, one regulating commercial refrigerators, another regulating walk-in refrigerators, and the third, a bill to give an agency new responsibilities that they are seeking to destroy. That's it. That's what we're debating this week in Washington, D.C. So if folks in the gallery stay here through the week, that's what you will hear. You will hear a debate today, you'll hear a debate tomorrow, you'll hear a debate on Thursday on those 3 bills. I suspect that the folks who are watching this debate, Mr. Speaker, would agree with me that there are better things for us to spend our time on here in Washington, D.C. than debating walk-in refrigerators. Seriously? I don't know. Maybe, Madam Chairwoman, it's really important to the people of North Carolina. You may have a lot of constituents who have walk-in refrigerators. I don't know. But for me, I can tell you, I just spent a week in Colorado, in the rural communities that I represent, hosting town halls, visiting with folks in my community, constituents, ranchers, farmers, teachers, working families, packed town halls. And at those town halls, you know the one subject that no one brought up? Commercial refrigerators. It never came up. No constituent of mine approached me at a town hall that we held 3 days ago with over 1,000 people in my community. No one at that town hall said, "Congressman, can you please go back to Washington and pass legislation on commercial refrigerators? It's really important." Nobody said that. They were really concerned about the Republicans' plan to gut Medicaid. They're pretty concerned about the Republican plans to dismantle Social Security offices across the country. They're deeply concerned about reports that this administration is going to end phone line customer service for senior citizens who are relying on Social Security. They're pretty concerned about a Secretary of Defense who apparently is sending out war plans on unencrypted messaging apps, putting our national security at risk. Those are the topics that my constituents care about. Commercial refrigerators is not one of them. And you can tell the frustration, I suppose, Mr. Speaker, in my voice. It is the frustration born from having to come to the floor every week and debate appliances. Can the Republicans just put all of the appliance bills on, in for consideration 1 week, and we'll just do them all, and then we can be done with it, and we can move on to having a debate about defending Medicaid, defending health care for the millions of Americans who rely on it? Is that too much to ask? I just would beg of the chairwoman. I understand this is an important priority to her. It's important to the Republican caucus. We get it. You all are obsessed with appliance regulation. Okay, after this week, can we please just be done with these appliance resolutions and get back to debating the issues that the American people expect us to debate? With that, Mr. Speaker, I will reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Colorado reserves. The chair reminds members that the rules do not allow references to persons in the gallery.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are in a constitutional crisis. President Trump and his co-president, Musk, apparently, are blatantly rejecting the role of the court, while Republicans in Congress are too scared to stand up for their constituents or the Constitution. And when we talk about Social Security, the idea I kept hearing from over there, we've done nothing to Social Security. Yes, you have. You have done nothing to stand up for your constituents who are worried about their Social Security check. They are appropriately worried about their Social Security check because you've done nothing to complain about the executive cutting the workers at the Social Security Administration. You've done nothing to complain about the closing of offices at Social Security, or done nothing to the idea that you can no longer call the Social Security, and you've done nothing to reject Project 2025's cuts and proposals to cut Social Security. And Social Security is also important, Mr. Speaker, because we are in a cost of living crisis. Prices for groceries, food, and housing are rising thanks to Trump's policies and Trump's tariffs. And what are House Republicans doing in response to these crises? Appliance bills. Appliance bills, which shows how out of touch they are with their constituents. And these appliance bills, by the way, a consequence is they raise costs. They raise costs that American small businesses will pay for utilities so that big companies, those big utility companies, can continue racking up more profit. Republicans seem to always stand with the greediest corporations and not the consumers. For those few Republicans, not our colleague here, but those few Republicans who are willing to hold town halls, they are hearing a lot of anger about Medicaid and Social Security cuts, but not much about refrigerators, are they? What did they say in Iowa? In Iowa, they said Trump and Musk are, I open quote, moving very rapidly toward a dictatorship and an oligarchy, close quote. This is in Iowa. In Wyoming, Farmers shared with their representative that Trump's cuts will limit the resources they need to deal with the devastating impacts of drought. H.R. 1048 under this rule continues Trump and Republicans' attacks on higher education and life-saving and innovative research conducted at our universities. I don't know why they hate our universities so much, because we already have a law that requires disclosure of foreign gifts, but this Republican bill will add impossible burdens of reporting to a department that they want to eliminate. What are we doing here with a bill that goes to a department they want to eliminate? But this bill shows how out of touch Republicans are, once again, to Americans' concerns, because a majority of Americans want to keep a Department of Education that funds programs for kids with disabilities, provides student loans, and makes sure poorer schools can hire enough teachers. If Republicans were truly worried about national security, they'd look at how this administration is destroying America's leadership abroad, from having signal chats with our national security to everything else they're doing. I will end with this, Mr. Speaker. While Republicans' billionaire class might not need public schools for their kids,
The gentlelady's
kids
time has
in my
expired.
district do. I yield back.